Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. This is an event that we all have been looking forward to, and I know some of you have received invitations from my side. Some of you have seen it on LinkedIn. Some of you have received it from somewhere else, from wherever you've received it. A warm welcome to everyone on this afternoon. I will just share my screen, and then we can maybe just dive into the presentation straight away. Visible now?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
All
Thanks.
right, perfect. Okay, good. So let's begin this. And I intend to finish this in about 30 minutes, 30, 32, 35. And I will try and make it as interesting as possible. We will have to make it a little interactive because, you know, what happens with these Zoom calls, sometimes these Zoom calls are more of a monologue because one person is speaking and then I'm not able to see any one of you because what I'm seeing right now is the screen. So I don't have eye contact. I don't know if you're getting bored or if you're interested. So if you keep it interactive, then all of us know where it is going. Right? Makes sense?
Sure.
Yeah, good. Okay, so here's a question for everyone, and just jump in whatever you want to say. There's no need to raise your hands and stuff. But this is a question about Coca-Cola, and it could be a question about any other brand, not just Coca-Cola. What would Coca-Cola choose? So Coca-Cola is given a choice. So they're given a choice that overnight, they should lose all their bottling units, all their places where they make Coca-Cola, the factories, bottling units, or the places where it is created, or they should lose their name, their brand, Coca-Cola. Brand is the name, the color, the font, the way it is written. So they lose the entire brand Coca-Cola, or should they lose all their factories and bottling units? What do you think they would choose?
They would choose their brand name, like the brand value, I think to say.
Yeah, so they would choose to retain the brand, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Anybody else wants to differ on this, or is everyone on the same page?
I agree too.
Most of the marketers will be on the same page.
Yes, that's right. So Coca-Cola would want to retain the name Coca-Cola, even if they lose all the factories and bottling units. And that is the power of brand. You know, why I asked this question is to highlight what does it happen when you want to create a brand. So in a brand, you want to create the name, and that's the biggest asset. You might lose all your fixed assets. You might lose the plant and machinery. But if you have the brand intact, you can build it up again. That's the power of brand. And when I say brand, this is what I talk about. I don't talk about only some fancy slogan. I don't talk about only some sort of a logo or some color scheme or maybe some social media posts. No, that's not brand. Brand is a philosophy in itself. So let's look at another one, Google. We all are aware of Google, right? So Google is not just the way Google is written. It's not just the spelling of Google. It's not just this blue, red, and yellow color and the green color that you see on the screen. Google in itself has a certain sort of philosophy, a certain sort of perception, a certain sort of image that gets created in the minds of people. And that's where it becomes a brand. There is another one, another brand. People who follow Apple, people who are fans of Apple, they are ready to argue, they're ready to fight, they're ready to pick up a fight if you say anything against the brand. You know, some of you in this group may also be some ardent followers of this brand. Brand creates advocates. Brand creates ambassadors. Brand is not just a name. This is another one. Another brand that we all know about. What are some of the brands that you would pick up a fight for? What are some of the brands that you are so, attached to that you, if anything says anything against that brand, you will say, no, that's not how it is. You will put your friendship on the line because you are an ardent advocate of a brand. Can you name some brands? Let's see if we have some big brand ambassadors here. Could be any brand. Doesn't have to be healthcare.
Lego, Harley Davidson, all the iconic brands.
Yes, Lego, Harley Davidson. Who else?
Vivek, I'll go for RSM.
Okay, RSM. Okay. All right. What else? No, the exception is your own brand you cannot mention. You have to mention some other brand. Anybody else? Any brands? It could be anything. Could even be Google. Could even be Gmail. Could some people have, whatever.
Emirates Airlines.
Emirates Airlines. Excellent. Who else? Let's have 3-4 other answers. Jump in, please. Everybody jump in, because otherwise this is going to be only a monologue.
There are
And then we'll
some
not have-
answers on the chat. Someone saying Nike.
Oh,
and
some answer. I cannot see the chat actually. If I have
Nike,
to.
Amazon, I can see mentioned.
Okay, can you read? Yes, Amazon and which one?
Nike.
Nike. Okay, great. What else? Any other names?
That's what it says. That is.
Okay, good. Anyway, so
Yeah, we
what
get
I'm
it.
trying to get at is, which one? So what I'm trying to get at is that there are brands that we all love. There are brands that we all admire. These are the brands that we would go any length to defend them. And they are because, we have a certain sort of belonging to them. We have a certain sort of affinity to them. And that has been created over a period of time because they have performed consistently on certain parameters and they keep attracting us again and again. And that's what we're going to talk about in healthcare as well, because there have to be brands in healthcare that can be created at that level. And that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do that, there is a conundrum. Conundrum is something like a problem or a hurdle. Now, what is this hurdle? What is this conundrum, this problem in healthcare, which is not there in other industries? Healthcare is very unique, and I've worked more than 2 decades in healthcare, and I can tell you it's totally unique. So let's take another example. So let's take, for example, some shampoo brands. If I ask you, name me some shampoos, would you be able to name how many shampoos? 5, 6 at least?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Heads and shoulder, this one, that one, whatever. Dove, what else? Sunsilk. Then you have Pert Plus, etc. So when you talk about these brands, which are in some categories of brands, in some products, you can actually have a long list of brands at the top of your head, which is mostly the FMCG or these kind of brands, which we call in marketing as low involvement brands, because they are brands where you don't spend much money to buy them. They are brands which are not very risky. If you don't like this shampoo, next time you can try another one. If you don't like this one, next time you try the other one. Not in healthcare. If you don't like a cardiac surgeon, this time you cannot go for a second cardiac surgery and say, okay, I need to redo my surgery. I didn't like this, doctor. Please do it again. You don't do that in healthcare, right? So it's a high involvement. Also, it is a high involvement brand with negative connotations. Okay. So what does that mean? There are many high involvement brands, like buying a luxury watch is a high involvement decision. It's not like a shampoo. It is a high involvement because it is expensive. Going for a holiday every year or every 2 years is a high involvement decision. Do you want to go to Switzerland? Do you want to go to Australia? Do you want to go to whichever country? It's expensive. It is a decision which is risky. If it goes wrong, you cannot come back with all your bags and then say, no, I'm going to another destination. I didn't like this one. So those are high involvement decisions, but at least those high involvement decisions are positive. They are something which is, it has a positive connotation to it. It has some sort of fun to it. Holiday, buying a car, buying a watch, high involvement. However, positive connotation. Shampoo, soap, toothpaste, low involvement because not much of cost and not much of risk. And yet it is low involvement, less risky. So for less riskier, low involvement, or for high involvement, positive mindset connotation brands, you will have many names in your head, because psychologically we are open to exploring these, open to looking at some Maldives pictures of a holiday that a friend went to. So we look at their pictures on Instagram and we are able to imbibe those brands. But when it comes to a negative connotation, and on top of that, a high involvement category, it becomes very difficult to retain brand names. And that is psychology. Psychologically, your mind doesn't want to look at something which is negative, which is associated with pain, which is associated with fear, which is expensive. Our mind doesn't want it. Now, if I asked you about shampoos, you could think 5, 6 names. I asked you holiday destination, you can still think of 4 or 5 good holiday destinations. If I ask you, name me the top orthopedic hospitals of the world, how many can you think of? Hardly any. It's not that orthopedic hospitals do not exist in the world. It's not that cardiac hospitals do not exist in the world, but we don't remember them in our mind because this is something which is negative, associated with pain and death and misery and sorrow. We don't want to look at these names. And that is the conundrum. That is the problem in healthcare brand building, because you are looking at something where it is negative. People don't even want to listen about a hospital. They don't even want to talk about a hospital. Nobody wants to talk about a hospital. Have you heard anyone saying, oh, last year I got my appendix removed. This year it's going to be my kidney. Yeah, very good. Kidney this year. Wow, I'm excited. Nobody's so excited about going to a hospital. Even if you have the most plush 7-star facility, which is the best in the world in terms of a hospital, very luxurious. The moment, and I can bet my life on it, the moment the doctor tells a patient, you will be discharged today, the patient is ready with his bags to run out, even if it is the most luxurious hospital. Nobody wants to stay in a hospital. Nobody wants to think about a hospital. Nobody wants to be in love with a hospital brand, because this is something which is negative. This is something which is risky, this is something which is associated with fear. And that's where the problem for marketers and brand builders like us is, because you want to create a brand in a category which is high involvement, risky, associated with negative emotion. And that's why you don't see a lot of healthcare hospital brands in the world today. And that's why it is difficult. So that's the problem I wanted to highlight before we get into how do you build a brand. Well, it's more difficult. If you have to build an ice cream brand, I think I would probably do it much easier than building a hospital brand, because that is more risky because of this problem that we have. Now, in a high involvement brand, which is very, very risky, there is something which is very crucial. In a high involvement brand, the word of mouth is always supreme. Word of mouth is the biggest influencer. When we select a doctor for our child, any pediatrician that you know, all of us ask our neighbor, ask our colleague, ask our friends, ask our relatives. Any pediatrician you know here, any eye doctor you know, my daughter needs to get glasses. I think she has to show her eyes. Maybe she needs glasses. I need to find out. This is a call which came to me on last weekend, because on the weekend he couldn't find an eye doctor. So he was calling me to find out if I know a good eye doctor. And we all get these kind of calls once in a while if we work in healthcare. If you don't work in healthcare, then you are somebody who calls your friends in healthcare to find out about good doctors, because it's all about word of mouth. Majority of brands in healthcare will be built. If you are a healthcare in this group that's attending today, if you're working in a hospital, if you're working in a healthcare environment, I can tell you this, and this was true 20 years ago. This is going to be true even 20 years from today. Healthcare brands will be built on word of mouth. Healthcare brands can only be built on word of mouth. Healthcare brand cannot be built on a fancy billboard which is put on the Sheikh Zayed Road. Healthcare brand cannot be built only on some fancy radio jingles and advertisements. All that's fine. All that jazz is okay once in a while. But ultimately, it is the word of mouth that will build a healthcare brand. Because people want to ask before they go for a surgery. They want to check on Google. They want to find out what other people are saying. They want to check with different communities about which brands they need to get into. Now, to build brands, and these are some myths, true for healthcare, true for any industry. What are some of the myths? First of all, brand building is not just about logo or making some social media. That's not brand. Oh, I met one doctor, and she was, we are making 5 reels every day on Instagram. We are building a brand. Whether you make 5 or 10 or 50 doesn't matter. It's not about just making Instagram reels. It's not about having a fancy logo. It's not about having a big, nice slogan for your brand. No, it's not about that. The second myth about branding is it's not the job of the marketing department alone. Building a brand, brand is a machinery. It's an engine. Every department, the whole system of delivering care has to be put into place to build a brand. You can't just say, put 2 people in the corner of the hospital and they will make some brochures and they will make some website and they will build the brand for us. No, it doesn't work like that. Sorry. It works with everyone pitching in. It works with the person in the front office. It has to be the brand building. I always say starts with the HR department by hiring the right kind of people first, because those people eventually will build the brand. So your first brand ambassador should be your HR manager, who hires the right kind of people to build the brand. The third myth is it is costly. People come to me, no, it's going to be too expensive. Oh, I will need to do too much advertising. Only then I can build a brand. No, it's not expensive. If you do it right, if you do it in a smart way, it's not expensive. Then somebody comes and says, no, it takes a lot of time to build a brand. It will take 2 years. This is a seminar. I was doing a workshop, I think last week or last to last week. One other question from the audience. It takes time. It will take a lot of time to build a brand. Not necessarily. ChatGPT is how old? 50 years old. ChatGPT as a brand, or 50 days old. So it doesn't take time. If you get it right, if you have the right value proposition, it doesn't take time. It will go viral and everybody will cling on to it. But you have to first figure out what to do and how to make it viral. And how do I know that you don't have a brand? So if I go to a hospital or if I go to a place, and if I have to find out if this place is in need of becoming a brand or not, this is what you need to look at. First of all, if you have a constant firefighting for monthly and quarterly revenue and patient targets, some of these places where I go to, they're constantly looking to meet their budgets. If they're constantly fighting and do this, let's do one camp here, let's do this cap package, let's do this campaign, let's bring this one, let's boost this one on social media, let's spend money on Google AdWords. If that's the firefighting which is constantly going on, it means you don't have a brand. Because if you're a brand like Apple, if you're a brand like Coca-Cola, if you're a brand like Nike, Amazon, people will come to you by themselves. You have a certain attraction and pull to bring people in. You don't run after them. You don't chase them. They chase you. That is what happens if you are a brand. If you struggle to have patients or customers, if you are any other industry, to come back to you, if people are coming, buying once and then disappearing and never showing their face again, you are not a brand. If you lose your patients or your customers to low-priced competitors, so somebody who is paying low and they're going, or some insurance companies are taking your patients and sending them to some low-priced providers, well, then you're not a brand, because you don't have that kind of, you don't command that kind of pull and respect for people to come and witness your services. Lastly, if there's a constant pressure by the management or by the sales and marketing team to lower the prices or offer some discounts. Oh, now Eid is coming, let's do 20%. No, let's do 25%. Eid offer. If there is constantly this pressure of offers, discounts, that means you're not a brand, because brands don't give discount. Rolls-Royce doesn't give discount. So if you're a brand, then you don't give discounts. There are certain brands which we all know are constantly on discounts. 365 days a year, there is a discount in those shops. So those shops will never become brands. Either you can have discounts or you can be a brand. Okay, now coming to the topic. Steps to building a brand. These are high level. This is a topic I can talk about, and I'm not exaggerating. I can talk about 2 days nonstop on building a brand. So I'm trying to condense it in 30 minutes. So please bear with me, but I'll try and see whatever I could put, I'll try and put it high level. Now, the first step is finding the sweet spot. Very, very important. What is this sweet spot? Something that your customer wants. In this case, in healthcare, your patient wants. Well, patient is not the only customer you have. You also have his family. That's also your customer. The insurance company is also your customer. Something that your customer wants, and only your company can give it, and competitors cannot give it. So I'll say it again. Something that people want, you can provide it, and your competitors cannot provide it. Not today, not tomorrow, not 2 years from now. In the near foreseeable future, competitors cannot provide it. What your people want and you can give and others cannot give in the coming long time, that is in the middle of these 3 circles is the SS, which is the sweet spot. All of us, if you have to build a brand, this is the first step. You have to find what is the sweet spot that you will occupy in the minds of the customers. What problem you are solving, and only you are solving. Nobody else can solve it. That is your sweet spot. It could be a problem which is a mental, emotional problem. It could be a problem which is functional problem, like an operational problem. It could be a problem like like an economic problem, maybe money. I don't know. So it could be something which you can only do, others cannot do, and people want it. You can call it value proposition. You can call it USP. You can call it sweet spot. You can call it positioning, whatever. But that has to be first ascertained. And that will lead to something called differentiation. Differentiation and brand is like front of the hand, back of the hand, and front of the hand. If you have brand, you have to have differentiation. You cannot have a brand without differentiation. So brand and differentiation work side by side. What is it that you can give, others cannot, and people want? That will lead to your differentiation. And that differentiation then becomes the basis of building a brand. That differentiation becomes the whole premise on which a brand can stand. Once you have done that, the next step is to create a narrative and an identity for that particular idea. How you are solving something for them which others are not. What is the narrative? What are you going to talk about? How are you going to talk about it? And then create an identity for it. So we start with something called a positioning statement. All of this that I'm talking about now is not, if you notice, is not about making a logo. Logo has just come in the second slide, step 2. First step is not even the logo. And it's not only about the logo and making a tagline. It is much deeper. And this is the backstage work which happens in building brands, whether healthcare or any other industry. So you develop a narrative. How do you develop a narrative? You create a positioning statement. That statement creates everything around the brand, how it's going to be positioned in the market. And you can find ample examples of positioning statements. If you go online, you will find, and similar to those, you can create your positioning statement. From the positioning statement comes the logo, tagline, and house colors. You don't make logo from, just make the logo first, and then we will figure out the positioning and differentiation. All this we will figure out later. No, your differentiation and value proposition is first. Then comes logo and tagline and house colors. Tagline you may or may not need, because it's not necessary that every brand should have a tagline. Not necessary. There are brands like Overnight Express. It's a courier company. It already says it is Overnight Express. Then why do you need a tagline for it? No need. It is an additional thing just to add to the clutter. No need, because the name itself, if your name itself is able to showcase your sweet spot and your value proposition, then you don't need a tagline. Raymond's, a complete man. That is one of the fashion brands in India. If the Raymond says the complete man, why? Because Raymond in itself means nothing. Nike, just do it. Why Nike needs just do it? Because Nike in itself doesn't mean anything. So, but if your name means what you are doing, then you don't need a tagline. Okay, so logo, tagline, and house colors is another step. And then there's something called a brand manual. This is a very, very important book which tells you exactly how the brand has to be maintained, what kind of, some people do some very basic level of brand manuals, but I recommend detailed brand manuals for every healthcare provider. They should be very clear how the brand will be portrayed, how the brand will be sent out. There's a word cloud, which again emanates from the positioning statement. What kind of words you will use, what kind of sentences you will use. You will have to figure that out beforehand and write all of these down in the brand manual. Image cloud, what imagery you will use. There are some brands, healthcare brands for sure, every brand uses a happy family. You know, those Shutterstock photos, the same photo, you can see it in 5 different brands, or at least 3 different brands. And I have personally seen it. The same Shutterstock photo of a happy family is there in brand A, brand B, brand C. So they clearly don't know what images to use. They just pick up from Shutterstock one smiling, happy family, mother, father, 2 kids, and they put it in. So that's not how it is. You need to figure out what kind of images you will show, which will go with the brand. And there is a list is longer, but I just kept it simple. And overall, you just have to keep it uncomplicated and keep it simple. Building a brand, remember, human mind hates complexity. It hates complication. Make it very simple, very easy for people to understand. I've seen some brands, what is your USP? They have a list of 17 things. Nobody remembers 17 things. No need, man. You just need one small phrase or word to tell what your brand stands for. Volvo, safety. Done. Rolls-Royce, luxury. Done. You don't have to make 16 points about it. Then it doesn't become a brand. Then it becomes confusion. So you have to make it simple, make it uncomplicated, let people see what it is for themselves, and then they will be able to retain it. With internally, this is step number 3. You have your logo, you have your positioning statement, you have the word cloud, you have the philosophy, narrative, you know what the sweet spot is, you know what my value proposition is, but don't go out and start making noise about it and shouting to the outside world yet. First, talk to people in-house. Get everyone to own it. And notice I'm saying own it. I'm not saying get aligned to it. Aligned is a very low level. Get them to own it. Get them to be the owner of the brand. Instill pride in them about the brand. You ever go and talk to a McDonald's staff? You ever go and talk to a Starbucks staff? Emirates Airlines, somebody said, talk to the staff in Emirates Airlines, talk to the staff in Singapore Airlines. You will know what I'm saying when I say instill pride about the brand in those people. Talk to somebody in Disneyland. They are proud of their brands. Their employees own the brand. They're not aligned to the philosophy of the brand. They are not on board with the philosophy of the brand. They own the brand. So you need all your nurses, front office, other support staff, even your housekeeping and outsourced departments like the security, food and beverages, all of them need to own the brand. They have to be the advocates and owners of the brand. That is very, very crucial. How to do it? Easy to say, difficult to implement. How to do it is another full day workshop, which we can do sometime later, but they have to get to own it. It will always start at the top. That's what I can tell you in short. So they need to start owning the brand, align the processes to the brand. If you are a brand, if you ever notice, McDonald's is a fast food, fun, family, happy place with a limited menu, but they are efficient. And all their processes are aligned to that. Every process in McDonald's is aligned to that. The distance between the counter and how many steps he has to take back to bring that burger for you is also measured. Everything is measured and everything is created deliberately in order to deliver the brand. So whatever is your brand, if you are a friendly hospital giving a home kind of environment, if that is the sweet spot that you want to take, then all your processes internally need to be aligned to that. If you're a high-tech, smart hospital, next generation technology, then all your internal processes, all your staff, the way they dress, the way they speak, the way the interiors are done, the way the processes are done, everything is in alignment to that. If you are a hospital which is a single specialty, mother and child, and a place for celebration of welcoming new life into a family, then all your processes have to be aligned to that. So processes will change as to what your brand stands for. Get the processes right. Get people aligned and get them to own it. Make them the owners of the brand, and then do some internal campaigns. Keep doing it because it has to be not done once. It has to be done every few months. Keep that whole buzz going inside the organization. Keep getting people owning the brand. New people join the organization. They join into a system. They join into a cult-like culture, as they say, so that they are part of that culture. And then you keep testing it, keep evaluating it, getting outside people to check for you, getting internal people to check for you. Check it yourself. Get the house in order. If this house is in order, then you go to the next step to invite guests. Till the time the house is in order, do not invite guests, because then if the guests will come, they will not like your house. Not only that, they will never come to your house. Not only that, they will even tell 5 other people, don't go to these people's house. So unless the house is in order, do not go on a marketing or branding or advertising spree. Now coming to the external communication, bringing guests and getting the brand out there. See, there is an example of bamboo. This bamboo, I think it's a Chinese bamboo, which grows underground first for 3 years or 5 years. I don't know how many years, but it grows underground, keeps going underground. Over the ground, you will only see a very small sapling. That's it. You don't see anything over the ground. It's just growing below the ground, growing and growing and growing. And then once it has grown sufficiently and the roots are deep enough, then it starts coming up and then it starts growing tall. And within days and within a couple of weeks, I don't know how many weeks, but within a few days, it becomes a very tall bamboo tree. It's not a tree, bamboo is a grass, but it becomes a very tall bamboo bush or whatever. But the idea is, the point is, it grows first underground. It gets deeper and deeper. So similarly, when you build brand, you first have to be doing the underground stuff first, getting people to own the brand, getting your value proposition right, getting your processes right, getting your look and feel of the hospital and the environment right, getting all of that right. And then you go on an external spree. Now, some of you will say, I'm already in a hospital which is already running for the last 5 years. What do I do now? Well, in that case, you still need to keep working on the internal first, getting the house in order first, whatever it takes, and then go out and bring external people. PR first approach in hospitals. The brands are built on word of mouth, as I said, and word of mouth is a function of public relations. It is a function of media, press. It is about other people talking about you. It is not about you blowing your own trumpet all day. Oh, we have done this. Oh, we did that. Now put one photograph with someone. Now put some award that you have bought by paying some money from somewhere. No need for that. You need to build a brand with where other people talk about you to other people. That is how healthcare brands are built. So PR first approach is absolutely necessary. And there are ways to do it. There are creative ways to do it, and people have done it before. So that is the PR first approach is what I always propagate. If there is a media plan for a hospital, I will do 60 to 70% of the work only on building word of mouth. Rest maybe 30% on other things. Digital is a priority. We should all face it. The olden era, previous era where print marketing, print advertising on TV, radio, putting billboards, all of that is outdated now. This is the age of digital, and we need to tune into the digital marketing and the digital world and build the word of mouth through digital platforms. Consistency in every message that you're sending out, where the logo will be placed, what colors will be used, what kind of tone of voice will be used, what is the word cloud that you agreed on for using, what kind of imagery has to be consistent. It cannot go haywire. If it's going haywire, then people will get confused. Remember, I said, keep it simple and keep it uncomplicated. So be consistent about it. Color scheme has to be consistent. Emirates Airlines, that red color is consistent everywhere. The way they write Emirates Airlines is consistent everywhere. The way Coca-Cola writes, in fact, that font itself has been patented by Coca-Cola. Nobody else can use that font. So they are very, very meticulous about consistency. So that's what's need to be done in the hospital as well. Focus on virality. Viral, make things viral. Get people to talk about you when they are sitting and discussing at home, when they're sitting amongst friends and having a discussion, when they're out on a drive, 4 people in a car, you want them to talk about you when they are with other people. So that's what it has to be done, and it can be done. So it's not something which is rocket science. There are enough agencies, enough people who can help you. You can yourself think of various ideas how to get people to talk about you. Have your objectives very clear. Have your planning of your media, as I said, digital first. So digital media first, and then getting the word of mouth to get it amplified. And what metrics you will use to measure, depending on what objectives you are chasing. So your metrics and objectives have to align with each other. If your objective is to be popular and people should be aware about you, then the measurement metrics should be out of the 1,000 people interviewed, how many people are aware about the name. If your objective is people have to prefer you, then your metrics out of 1,000 people, when they were asked, given these 3 names, which is the most preferred, they should be naming you, or X amount of people should be naming you. So whatever is the objective needs to be ascertained first. And then you come out with metrics that need to be measured. Yes, there are metrics like how many likes I have, how many followers we have. That's fine. That is standard. But when you are going deeper into building brand, you need deeper objectives. You need objectives for every campaign that you're doing. And then those metrics have to be measured. This is an important thing I wanted to highlight. Product, features, benefits. If you see, there is a product. Product could be, let's say in this case, a hospital. Hospital will have certain features. Features would be, okay, I have a 3 Tesla MRI. I have a certain such and such kind of a cath lab. I have doctors who are trained in these countries. This. These are my features. When you are building a brand, you do not promote the features. You promote benefits. We end up, a lot of healthcare providers do this mistake. They are trying to promote the features. I have a 3 Tesla MRI. Fine, I have this JCI blah blah accreditation. These are features. As a customer, as a patient, what do I do? If you good for you, you have it. Very nice, very good. Bravo, you have it. But what is in it for me? Does it benefit me? If it doesn't benefit me, then I don't want to listen about it. So when you create brands, you only talk about benefits. Now, as I said, benefits could be 3 kinds of benefits. It could be economical benefit. It could be a functional or a tangible benefit, or it could be an emotional benefit. But when it is an emotional benefit you want to talk about, you only want to talk about a positive emotional benefit. You don't want to talk about negative emotion. You don't want to scare people. You don't want to tell them, oh, if you don't get your appendix operated now, it has already burst, there will be infection, then there will be septicemia, and then, you will go into sepsis and you will die. You don't say that, right? You want to put a positive emotion. Minimal invasive appendectomy gets you back in action within 24 hours, 3 days, 4 days later, you are back in office. You can go for shopping, enjoy with your kids, go to the PTM meeting. Put that positive emotion out there rather than negative emotion. And emotional brands are the ones which survive longer. There are brands which are economical only on price. They do not survive that long. This is enough research has been done to prove. Operational brands, functional brands also have a shorter life because somebody or the other will come out with the same operational, tangible, functional benefit, and then your benefit is not exclusive. There will be 2 or 3 people providing the same thing. So emotional brands usually tend to stay long, but brand connect is only possible if it is a positive emotion that you are portraying. All right, coming towards the end, I'm already feeling it's a monologue because if I don't hear people talking, then I just have no sense where it is going. But anyway, it's fine. Pitfalls. What are some of the pitfalls? There are certain hurdles or pitfalls that you need to be aware of. 3 pitfalls, I will say. One is a brand extension trap. I call it a trap because, here's what happens. And I have gone through this personally and learned it the hard way. Once you become popular and famous in certain category and you tend to become so-called the brand in that category, there is a lot of greed to put that name in all other places. That means you need to extend that brand and you want to make. So I'll give you a practical example. A hospital, which is a mother and child hospital and is very well known for mother and child. And a lot of people go there for deliveries and birthing, etc. And they have a great experience and they become very famous. Let's call it Hospital ABC. Now, Hospital ABC is very famous in birthing, in mother and child care. And the management thinks, okay, already people know me, already I'm very famous. Let me also start another hospital, which is Hospital ABC Orthopedics. Let's also get into orthopedics because that's also a big market. And we should put our name, we will make another hospital, we will name it the same. Or we will, in the same hospital, that is the worst case, in the same hospital, you will start another department in the same building and call it ABC Ortho. I can bet 9 out of 10 times it will fail. Not only the ortho will fail, even the mother and child will suffer. It is the same as McDonald's is saying, already I'm selling so many burgers and it's such good fast food. Let me also start some Chinese food also. Because already everybody knows McDonald's, right? So why not just start Chinese or maybe start some South Indian as well? Already I'm famous. McDonald's dosa, yeah, McDonald's burger, McDonald's dosa, yeah, people will know, they already know my name. Not only the dosa will not sell, even the burger will stop selling. So brand extension is a trap to be avoided. If you want to create a new category, create a new brand. Don't create something with the same name and try to give it to other people. Second pitfall is losing relevance. Brands tend to lose relevance. They tend to be, over a period of time, they are less and less relevant because things are changing. And now you have, previously you had millennials, now you have the Gen Z, and then you have the next generation. And also times change, people change, preferences change. What was happening 20 years ago is not happening now in our society, and the way we communicate, and how the social media has taken over, how the OTT platforms have taken over. Before pandemic, after pandemic itself is a sea change, a lot of huge change in the way things are done. So brand may not be relevant. What it was before pandemic, if you're going with the same thing again after pandemic, maybe you're not relevant anymore. So relevance needs to be checked every few years. Also, the aging of a brand. Brands tend to age and they need to be rejuvenated. They need to be again given a fresh look and feel. The same RSM logo that you see on the bottom right will not be relevant 50 years from now. It might need to be changed. There are brands which have survived hundreds of years. I will tell you, Coca-Cola was 1880s is when it was launched. Lifebuoy, the soap that you've all heard about, is more than 100 years old. And it is still in India, the largest selling soap in India still for so many years, continuously, non-stop. So these are the brands who have lived over a period of time, but they have been able to reinvent themselves and rejuvenate themselves every few years. They have been able to stay relevant, and they have been able to preserve. Lifebuoy, for example, started Lifebuoy Plus. Lifebuoy Plus, no, hardly some of us know it, and Lifebuoy Plus never sold as much as Lifebuoy still does. And Lifebuoy Plus will never sell more than Lifebuoy because it is an extension of a brand. Extensions never make it to the top. So extension is a trap. Brand has to be relevant and brand has to be rejuvenated. Well, that's it. I think I covered it quite fast because I wanted to have some discussion, question, answers. That's where
Vivek, I would like to add a small point to whatever you mentioned.
Please go ahead. Please.
Okay. Yeah. One thing which you mentioned very, very aptly is going digital. In today's world, you cannot avoid going digital. You cannot see, that let everybody go digital, I'll remain on where I was. It's not possible because, when you're Rome, you do what the Romans do. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the one advantage which has emerged by going digital. Okay, digital doesn't mean that you're just digitize all your data, you're just doing your processes, etc. Digital also gave you a platform that you can launch it as a global. Now, this is something which is very particular to the healthcare because generally, healthcare being such a sensitive topic, it was more localized, more in a community way, more in a town way, where people were not traveling from one town to other town because they didn't know. Now, if your powerful brand is built, that's where the digital that's where the medical tourism comes into play. So for for healthcare, building a brand and having a very good digital backend capability is really important. I thought I'll just share the point with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Digital is very important, and not only digital is also important in delivering healthcare. So, for example, we have certain hospitals who have their patient experience now becoming more and more digital. The way the feedback is collected, the way corrective actions are taken, there are dashboards which can be digitally created. So there's a lot of digital that is happening. But my only submission is it has to be in alignment with what brand you are creating. If your brand is more about experience of customers and patients, then you create a digital ecosystem which facilitates the delivery of that brand. If your brand is more of technology, then you create a digital ecosystem which facilitates technology. If your brand is more about something else, international patients, and we have excellence in international patients, then you use digital to create that. So for sure, I mean, I'm with you on that. But it again, the only thing is it needs to marry into the brand itself. Good. I think there are a lot of comments also. All right, so there's something with Arindam has asked a question on brand building challenges. One is primarily word of mouth driven. First follow the doctor, then the hospital impacts long-term loyalty. And online reputation in the era is social media troll storms, and sensitive and positive. Yes. Well, yes, it is a word of mouth, absolutely. And people will follow doctors, whether you like it or not. That's what happens, because again, it is a high involvement decision to change a doctor. We usually do not change our doctors because that's what we go to the hospital for. But however, you see there are hospital brands who have, in spite of they might have great doctors, but they also have a name or a brand for themselves. Mayo Clinic has a name for itself. It might have the great doctors as well. But then if you don't know any doctor there and you're simply going to Mayo Clinic, you are assured that you are going to a place which is some sort of a brand. Or, so that's one name that comes, and there are certain other names as well which are coming to my mind. So there are these names which are there, which have created a brand for themselves. So yes, an online reputation on social media, yes, it is absolutely needed, and it is part of the word of mouth, as I was saying, because social media is one area which amplifies your word of mouth or actually can bring you down as well. So it needs to be carefully monitored. It needs to be, your exposure on social media has to be planned well. It doesn't have to be knee-jerk, number one. Number two, it has to be balanced and measured. You don't need to be overexposed on social media, yet you cannot be underexposed on social media as well. So you need to balance it out and balance it out well. So that's what it is. And that's it. And what's the third one? There's no third one. I don't see a
Yeah, the
third one.
third one actually, hi Vivek, Arindam here.
Yeah.
That's what happens while you're in the flow of thought and a call comes in. Sorry
No,
about
that's
that. So actually, well, very true. What I also wanted to highlight here was, once, say for instance, as you rightly said, it's a high involvement brand as it's into healthcare, it's into patient care, practically putting your life at stake or in the hands of the hospital, right? So
yes.
in case something of a bad reputation comes up, some cases being, literally thrown up in the social media and blown up in the social media.
Yeah.
Even that part, I think, a lot of activity is required to again douse that fire and rebuild it. Not only just to build yourself on social media, using the virtual platform as the word of mouth extended into another channel, but also monitor that channel such that something blows up somewhere. How do you quickly sort of, rebuild that? Because that's again a very, very sensitive area. I think that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a sensitive area. There are a lot of tools available, social media listening tools, which hospitals subscribe to. And we have seen even before social media, when, there used to be some sort of a storm in the press or in the usual media, press and media as well. So generally, you need to be very clear on the strategy that you want to take. In certain cases, it is better to have a defensive strategy where you don't speak much and you just being defensive. Certain cases, you need to go on the offensive. Certain cases, you need to have a strategy which is more of evasive, so you evade it. So this is case to case, it differs, but it has to be, whatever has to be done proactively. And you need to have your, be genuine and be authentic. If there's a mistake you've made, own it up, because the more you try to hide it under the carpet, the more it comes and bites you at the back later. So if there's something that you are needing to own, you should own it up well in time and not let it blow out of proportion. And I always believe you can sort out things through communication. Most of the issues are issues of communication. So if you're communicating well with your audience, with the party who's aggrieved or the one who is complaining, it can always be sorted through mutual trust and communication.
Vivek, another interesting point which came to my mind. For example, McDonald's, when they launched, they also launched the McDonald's Institute of Hamburgology, where they provide degrees, in hamburgology, which is again a totally different concept. I've seen some of the people, who got masters and bachelors in hamburgology from McDonald's. Okay. Unfortunately, in healthcare, it is it cannot be done because healthcare is it's a very sensitive topic. So what we are seeing in healthcare is, like Cleveland of the world, or you mentioned one Mayo Clinic, or you mentioned, John Hopkins. So these clinics are stepping out in other territories. Okay. And that's how the brands are being rejuvenated in those territories. And, that's how they're able to expand further.
Yeah.
So, the idea, as you mentioned in your talk also, that, for healthcare, it's not a one-size-fits-all. There has to be a consideration in healthcare.
Yes.
And this is how the brand, like, Cleveland has built up such a large reputation globally.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's all because of consistent effort, because brands are not built by one-off or 1 month or 2 month campaign. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that, my hospital, I will run a campaign for 2 months and then I will be a brand. But that's not how it is. It has to be consistently over a period of time. The performance, your actions have to match what you promise to people over and over and over again for a number of months and years. Then a brand is built. So that's what it is. Any other questions, please? Feel free if you want to put it.
Hi, Mr. Vivek, if you hear me well?
Yes, how are you?
Yes, thank you for the session. It was really, really beneficial. I really, I was noting some of the items that you already spoke to it. Actually, you spoke about the internal communication and the brand guide and letting the staff on the brand itself. So actually, I've been practicing this item. I just joined a hospital firm, and we created the brand guide, even though it was made from 60 years ago. But they until now they don't have a brand guide. So it was like it was really late. So I think in my situation, actually, creating the brand guide after I shared it with all the stakeholder actually, they did not find it what they call it beneficial. So I'm in the process of giving the what they call it, making people with the internal communication to own the brand. But
Yes.
I think I might need a little bit of what they call it tricks. If you can help me with that, how can I really make the audience, my audience, which is the staff inside the internal communication actually, to own the brand, to encourage themselves to understand that we're doing something for the brand, you know?
Yes. Well, I think the trick is to make it simple and uncomplicated for them, because see, in the hospital, there will be different kinds of people. So you will have doctors, plus you will have drivers also. You will have cleaning staff also, and you will have a neurosurgeon also. You will have a front office, you will have IT, you will have, so there are different kinds of people in a hospital. So for them, it has to be very simple. Give it some name, like a campaign title, you know, like for example, it could be something which is something, I mean, you'll find online examples, because I don't know exactly what your brand stands for, but it could just be Excellence 25, which means we are going towards excellence in 2025. Or it could just be, you know, something like a slogan, and give it that slogan. And under that slogan, these 3-4 points, which are very simple and easy for everyone to remember. And it can be percolated, told to them in various ways. It can be done in internal meetings. It can be done through email to everyone. It can even be made a screensaver for everyone's computer in a hospital, so that it is in front of their eyes when they're working. You can even make some internal poster which only they can see. So it's facing them. It is not facing the customer. That can be done. You can have a name for this, like a team can be created. You can create a flag for it. You can create a color for it. So you can do all of that, which is appealing to their senses in terms of eyes. They see it, they hear about it, they feel it. Maybe do one event once in a quarter or once in 2 months internally, just to get everyone together. And most important, if there is any success, if anyone is creating any kind of success, celebrate the success, make it well known to everyone, put it on email, put it everywhere, get people to know, and have that applause, have a certificate given, get the CEO to have coffee with these people who are the ambassadors of the brand. So create some sort of internal noise and internal system or a culture where, and then over a period of time, you know, people start getting used to it. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult. I will give you an example of one hospital long ago, where what they did was, we thought that it is very important for the lower level staff to understand the brand, and their brand had some 4 or 5 elements. So what we did is we arranged a full staff, as much as staff possible, to come into the auditorium, and we staged one play. It's like a play, like a drama. And in that drama, we asked them to do opposite acting of what the value of the brand is. So if the brand value is take care of the customer, the drama is don't take care of the customer. So they will do in the drama everything opposite. You know, so they did some very funny, it was very funny. The doctor is sitting reading newspaper, both his feet are on the table, and he's sitting on the chair with the feet on the table and reading newspaper. And then the patient comes and he says, so he does some very funny things there. So, but what this did was, even the lower staff, which was not very educated, even they got to know that, oh, this is not what, we don't have to do this. We have to do opposite of this. You know, so we made it in an interesting way. So these are the things. Another hospital I remember, we used to do a patient day, like a delighting your patient day, because their brand was more about patient experience and patient care. So every month, one day in a month, they will plan, entire hospital will do certain things. They will plan certain activation to delight the patient. So sometimes they will have, for example, once they called a local celebrity actor, that film actress actually. So she came and she went to every patient room, offered them sandwich and juice and all that. And they were very surprised, because she's very well known, and why she's in the hospital. You know, so that is one day. Then next time they did something else. So they will do one activity to make the patients very happy. In one day, in 1 month, I remember they did the free car wash. Well, the car is given for valet. It comes back, it has been washed and cleaned. And on the car dashboard, there is a small tent card, like a greeting card, which says, remember to fasten your seat belts. We love to take care of you. So something like that. So this is a hospital which was branding itself. They were creating a brand for patient experience and a very friendly hospital kind of. So they did this activation every month. They used to do this one day in a month. So you could do something like that, some simple things with the staff, some events, activation, some internal campaign, but it has to be simple. If you make it complicated, then they don't understand it.
Sure. Thank you for that, for the answer.
Vivek, can I add some comment on everything you
Yes.
said?
Yes, please.
So one thing I felt is, when I look at healthcare category, it's almost like a sea of sameness. Everyone's saying the same thing, care, they're very much in the similar.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things, you give the example of Mayo Clinic, and one of the things that if you go to Mayo Clinic's website, one thing you feel is quite differentiated. So forget about the doctors and everything, but it's very differentiated. They talk about, if you seek answers, where you know where to go. On one of the sites, I remember seeing solving the unsolved. So it's very specific, and it's not something that they're just saying. They are actually doing as well. They're investing in the entire ecosystem to actually claim something like that. So first is differentiation, but also consistency. So Mayo Clinic has also been saying about answers, solving, that kind of a narrative for quite a while. And to me, that's how you create differentiation over the period of time versus just doing the same thing that everyone is doing, social media, everyone is family health, well-being and everything. That doesn't create differentiation at all.
Absolutely, bang on. I mean, that's how it has to be done, and that's why Mayo Clinic is a shining example of how do you be different than others. And Mayo Clinic has done it more in the domain of the patient interest is the only interest we care for, or the patient interest is the highest interest that we care for, something like that. And they have branded their hospitals and facilities as a healing environment. So there's a piano playing in the atrium. I was told that every room, the window where the window will be in the room is designed in a different, it's not in the same place in every room that you have a window. They have first seen what the patient should look, what he should be seeing while he's lying on his bed, what scenery would be visible to him. According to that, they made the window in the room because patient is lying on the bed. Half the time they're seeing outside the window, half the time they're seeing on the ceilings. Even the ceilings have been designed in Mayo Clinic for, made the interesting designs for patient because half the time they're looking at the ceiling. So they've done a lot of work on putting the patient first and thinking from the patient point of view. And that's why they are so differentiated. They know that people don't go onto the website to see your doctor's photo in a white coat. They want to go to the website to get information. I have knee pain. It is not going off. It's been 3 months. Do I need to see a doctor? Is it something serious? I will want to search. And then I go to Google. When I go to Google, it takes me to the Mayo site because they have some answers for it. Or my doctor told me I have, say, some problem. I have E. coli. Now, what is this E. coli? How does this come? How will it go? My doctor did not communicate too much with me. Let me find out on Google. I search, I eventually end up at Mayo Clinic website finding about E. coli. So that's what they have done, and they've done it wonderfully and beautifully. And I'm saying there is no reason why more hospitals should be able to do it. That is one of the sad truths of our industry, that most hospitals have not gone, as you rightly said, have not gone beyond care. Every hospital tagline, care word is there. Every hospital, all of them have similar color schemes. Thankfully, last few years we've seen some different color schemes. Before that, everyone used to be that boring green color, and they had that same care, this, care, that, care. They're not going world class. We are world class. We are state of the art. You go to any hospital website, these are the phrases done to death, and you will find them in every website, every brochure. So it's time that healthcare should eventually grow out of this and start building brands and start finding out ways to be different. And I can assure you, there are many ways. If you really start thinking about it, there will be a lot of ways in which you can become different. A lot of differentiating ideas are there, but only thing is you'll have to figure out what to say and create that narrative and then live that narrative. There could be a hospital that, we worked with before was talking about being a smart hospital. So that's a good way to differentiate yourself. Be smart and do everything around smart. But again, keep it only smart. Keep it limited only to that. Don't become this and then this and then this and then add 5 more things to it. Then you're diluting it. Own one word or one phrase, be the owner of that word, and then build your brand around that word. That is the simplest way to do it. If you will take 7 words or 10 words and phrases or 10 sentences, then it's too complicated. You want to be state of art also. You want to be friendly also. You want to be technology also. You want to be this also, that also. Then, if you want to be everything for everyone, then you end up being no one. That's how it is said. So you have to figure out your space and put a word or phrase to that and build the whole aura of that brand around that phrase. Mayo has taken patient first. That is their phrase, and they have built the whole thing around patient first. Somebody else can take smart. Somebody else can take legacy is another huge way to differentiate yourself. If you have that, if you genuinely have a legacy of a number of years and the trust that people have shown, bestowed upon you for a number of years, take that and become a brand of, based on legacy, become a brand based on technology, become a size, a large hospital, a largest hospital. That's another way to brand yourself. But my only submission is take only one. If you take too many, then you're diluting it. Then it's basically shooting yourself in the foot. But very rightly said, Rohit. I think this is music to my ears that Mayo has done it and other hospitals need to do it. Differentiation is the way to build a brand. Who else? Any more comments? Okay, only one comment. Jatin says, I appreciate your thoughts and any crisis communication. Sure, Jatin, we'll probably catch up on this sometime in future. This is something that we have, I've personally gone through a lot and helped a few brands on this as well. Back home in India, it's a bigger challenge. Here, it's still easier, I would say. But still, it is a challenge nevertheless. So great. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I think we finished right on time, or maybe we went over time. I don't know, but it was a good suggestion, short and sweet, good session. And I think we'll do a few more of these in the coming days.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Vivek. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Vivek. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for your
much.
time. It was great.
Bye.